going to say I, and then you're going to state your name, okay? And then you repeat after me for the rest of the term, okay? And just keep in mind, when it comes, I will say, discharge the duties of the office of, and you'll just state your position, okay? That's President of Council, City Council, Treasurer, okay? So I'll pause for you to do that. So if everyone could stand and raise their right hand. I state your name.
Doors.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of
discharge the duties of the office of Council President
of the City of Kenton, Ohio.
of the City of Kenton, Ohio.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done.
Still a few minutes.
Thanks, John, for taking care of that. Welcome, everyone. Bruce, Chief, both chiefs, try to come in where you can.
I think it's got folding chairs.
We can grab some chairs.
To you right there for you.
I know we have a crowd here tonight. One thing that I'm always very conscious of, I start at 7, just because we advertise it. That is our specific starting time, so we will start the meeting right at 7. But before we start, since we have a couple of minutes, I didn't know if Cliff, Lydia, if each of you'd like to take a turn and say a few words.
Oh, I would just introduce my whole family.
That'd be great.
My daughter is Alicia, my sister Wava, my wife Darlena, Lily, my granddaughter, and Mike, her boyfriend, and my other granddaughter, Berwin.
Welcome. I think that's, yes, that's awesome.
And Dad didn't come because he's over here to Coterie playing cards. I know where he's at.
That's why you weren't here.
Yes, I know exactly why he wasn't here.
Well, again, though, I mean, you can say anything in the media you want and just, they'll call your dad, right?
Yeah, there we go. That's true.
Blame it on your dad.
I can blame it on him.
Really appreciate you doing that, Cliff, and stepping up and running. And Lydia, if you want to say a
Sure,
couple words.
I'm a non-Cantonite, you could probably tell by my accent, but I'm an American citizen since 2021. I came to the United States 1971. After my husband passed and about the trouble about the politics, I just thought, I need to be a citizen. And ever since then, I became involved in politics, local, and I'm a registered Democrat, which I'm very proud of because that was the first thing I did when I was sworn in Toledo. I have a degree from Mundelein College, which is now Loyola, in Chicago, and I lived in Columbus and other places in the world before, but the longest time I lived anywhere was in Ward 2 of Kenton, Ohio. I have lived here 40 years, so.
Thank you.
And a few months ago, we had unfortunately, we had an opening on council, and Doris Bloom stepped up and threw her hat in the ring and was appointed to finish out a term, but Doris is now starting her first elected term. And Doris, do you want to say a couple words?
Other than I really enjoyed the short time I was on council in 2025, and I'm looking forward to serving on 26 and 27 with my fellow council members.
Great. Okay, we do have quite a few things as far as reorganization to do tonight. I will, though, I think what we will do is we will wait, and again, I haven't called it to order yet, but we'll go ahead and wait and talk about that at the beginning of committee reports. That way we'll get past public participation because we do have some folks on the agenda. So if that's okay with everyone? All right, Emma, sound good to you? Okay. All right. You guys ready? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first regular session of Kenton City Council for the year 2026. We just had our swearing-in ceremony. I welcome all of those who came for the meeting and to see their family members get sworn in and to start their council journey. I would say that I don't believe we have a huge list of business on the agenda tonight, and so I encourage you to stay for the entire meeting. If you cannot, that's fine, as there are breaks and everything. If you want to slip out, that's okay. So we'll begin tonight with the roll call, and Emma, if you do that, please.
Joel Oldhauser,
Present.
Sue Fox Broker,
Present.
Lydia Miller,
Present.
Cliff Winiger,
Present.
Chad Miller,
Present.
Peg Wren,
Present.
Doris Bloom,
Present.
Robin Jones.
Here.
John Schwimmer,
Present.
Lynn Webb,
Here.
Cindy Murray.
Here.
All right, thank you, Emma. I'd ask all who are able to please stand. We will have a prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord of all creation, we come before you this evening to honor you and remind ourselves of your pivotal place in our lives. We ask for your blessings on this council meeting. We ask that your wisdom would guide us as we seek to accomplish the goals in tonight's agenda and in the year to come. Thank you for the opportunities you give us to serve you and to serve the residents of Kenton. May our actions and our attitudes please you this evening. We pray these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Being the first meeting of the year, a few new council members, I'm going to try to make certain I take my time. If at any point anyone has a question, anyone needs anything clarified, and I would even say members of the public who are here, don't be afraid to raise your hand. We can pause and make certain everyone understands what we're doing. So in the package that you received, there were minutes from the prior meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes versus what was printed? Seeing none, they'll stand approved as submitted. Now, on our agenda tonight, we've come to the point where citizens that have items, topics they want to discuss with council and the administration have an opportunity to do so. Tonight, we do have Kim Heights on the agenda this evening. And we would, if you would go ahead and come up to the podium, introduce yourself and your. That's great. Yeah, and if you both can come up at the same time, that's fine.
She's going to do the talking. I was going to pass this.
Okay.
This will just kind of give you some information about what she's talking about.
Thank you. And if you could, go ahead and give a little bit of background. We do want to try to keep things as concise as we can, but we have a little bit of room this evening. Give a little bit of background because even though several council members may have known this was coming up, there may be a few that did not. And we do have some folks here from ODOT tonight also, so we'll get to them as needed.
I am Kim Heights. Me and my sister own No Limits Hair and Tannery. It's a hair salon uptown. and we are just trying to find a solution because the parking in front of our building was kind of taken away. So I'm going to read my paper, and it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Kim, and I am here as a small business owner who has proudly served the community for over 30 years. Our business is more than a place of work. It is where relationships have been built, where customers have become family, and where employees depend on steady hours to support their own families. That is why this issue matters so deeply. The recent removal of our parking directly in front of our business has created a serious hardship. Parking is not a convenience for us, it is an essential. Many of our customers are elderly or have mobility challenges, and without nearby parking, they simply cannot access our services. When parking disappears, our customers disappear, and that puts jobs and livelihoods at risk. What makes this especially difficult is that we were repeatedly told this would not happen. On November 7th, 2025, I called the mayor and was told parking would remain the same after construction. On November 12th, I called again to confirm. On November 14th, I again assured parking would not change. Only after construction was complete, I was told that restoring parking was not approved. By then, the impact had already been felt. We were directed to use parking in the alley, which is city property, but this is not a safe solution, especially in winter. Snow and ice create a real risk of falls and injuries, and I cannot responsibly direct customers or employees into a situation that poses a safety and liability concern. This issue affects more than just one business. It affects employees, customers, and character of our community. That is why we reached out to the public, and the response was overwhelming. Our petition has received an abundance of signatures and strong support from clients, neighboring businesses, and local residents. I respectfully invite each of you to review that petition tonight, as it represents the collective voice of what the community is asking for your help. We are not here without solutions. The road is approximately 1 foot wider than it was before the construction, which could allow parking lines to be reinstated. Another option is removing a portion of the grass in front of the property to create safe designed parking spaces. Additionally, we propose exploring the use of parking at the former gas station located at 133 North Detroit Street. The property has been vacant since January 2022 and is owned by Brad Wingfield. Utilizing or partnering for parking at this location could provide immediate relief without alternating traffic flow or creating safety concerns, and it would make productive use of the currently unused space. I would also like to note that when the property was purchased by the late Doris Rose in 1996, the apartments currently on the property already existed. Parking has always been a part of the functional use of this property. Nothing about how the property is used has changed, only the access to it. Tonight I am asking you to hear not just me, but the voices of many standing behind me. Our request is simple. Please work with us to restore parking or approve one of the proposed solutions so that we can continue serving this community as we have for over 30 years. I respectfully ask the council to consider making a motion tonight or to direct the appropriate department to meet with us immediately to revise this decision and provide a clear path Thank you for your time and consideration and for standing with the local businesses. That's it.
At this point in time, do any council members or administration or anyone present here have any questions for Kim?
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
Have you contacted Mr. Wingfield and had that discussion with him about
I
using that
have
lot?
not. I thought maybe the mayor could maybe help me do that,
Okay.
if that's what you guys thought was a good solution. I mean, I don't know, I just think that maybe we could sit down together and try to find, the best option.
As a person who uses that intersection all the time because I live on the north end, I really enjoy the fact that they widened those lanes and made the markings clear, because it was always dangerous with people at the last minute saying, oh, there's the left-hand lane, and so that is a good thing for the traffic, but I understand it's a problem for you. And you have suggested a couple of what sounds like good ideas.
Any other questions?
So I have been driving around, following semis, driven by the alley, driven to the back of the alley. So from the wooden fence to the north, is that your property?
Yes.
So there's a red pickup back there that looks like it's not usable or drivable, it doesn't move. So would it be possible to move that truck and then provide those 2 spaces back there for additional parking? Looks like you could pull 2 cars in there.
Those are apartment buildings up there, and that truck does run, and he also has a trailer that he parks back there. Those are the apartments that are above the back there.
Okay, so there's 3 garages, and I've seen, there are 3 2-car garages, correct?
There's 3 apartments. So
And there's 3 garages.
tenants,
Yeah.
and
Are they 2-car garages
they're
or?
2-car garages.
Okay, so,
So it's also been a problem, like, we've had customers park back there, but then the people that live in the apartments, they have to come find out who has what vehicle and move the vehicles. And then that's a liability, because somebody else is driving their vehicle, because their hair's wet, they have oils in their hair, they don't want to go out and move their cars. So it's been a mess.
I understand that, and, it's like, I don't think anybody here wants to take their parking away. It's like, when that building was bought and purchased, it's like, that took their off-street parking away, because now we're telling people to park behind your houses. But the only thing I thought could be a possibility was, I've never seen that truck move. It's just stayed close to the fence, and I've never seen a trailer back there. And I've been driving by about twice a week since this petition surfaced. So I don't know if he could store that truck somewhere in the trailer, because he's already got a garage. I don't know. I mean, that would open up 2 spots.
He runs a lawn business.
Yeah, he runs a lawn care
Yeah,
business.
folks, we do have to, there is that microphone out there. We do want to pass that.
That was just my suggestion. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about, but the truck had never moved since I've been driving by there,
It
so.
does move
Okay.
at points and times, and he does have a lawn care business. So he's in and out with his vehicles, and my stepdad, he lives in one apartment. He's in and out going to work and stuff.
And you're talking, 7 employees?
Yeah.
Yeah, where did the employees
Fine.
park, by the way? Where did the employees park?
Price has been generous enough to let us park there when
Okay.
they don't have funerals.
Okay.
And just wherever, but like people have to walk down the alleys, and like at night, if there's women there getting their hair done late, they don't want to walk down the alley at night
Right.
by themselves. And with the snow and the ice, we've had people fall. It's just been, so it was 3 or 4 parking spaces right in front of our salon, and one of them, like, the one on the side we sometimes use as handicap, because we do have a wheelchair ramp over there. But then also there was 3 or 4, probably 5, in front of, across the alley, that we would also utilize those for parking too. to the north.
So we do also have, an individual here from ODOT tonight. I think Rob's got his presentation ready. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, Rob, formally.
I have one more thing. The other thing I was thinking as maybe a simple solution is to move the southbound and the turning lane back 10 feet, because that's the way it was before. And then we had no issues with parking. I don't know if just the lines have moved. I mean, I know like the grass goes out a little further also, but that's all. I'm sorry.
Let's just let's
Yeah.
keep that in mind, and let's let Rob go through the background of why it is what it is, and then we'll have all that out in front of everyone, and then we can go from there. Now, I am gonna say to everyone here, more than likely, we will hear quite a bit of this out, and then more than likely, it'll go to our Streets and Alleys Committee. I'm just gonna be very transparent there, so if it's not an obvious solution, so they can dig into it further. But,
Sure,
go
no,
ahead.
Real quick, have you been down our alleys? Our alleys are atrocious. There's huge potholes everywhere. I mean, when,
I do need you, if you're going to address, I need you to come up and use the microphone, or use this microphone right here. We have one you can.
sorry. Have you been down our alleys? They are
Yes.
atrocious. There's potholes everywhere. They need more stone in them. They're not that wide. And, you know, it's not safe for anybody to walk down those alleys. Just a couple, now this is a totally different subject, but just a couple nights ago, I was sitting in Kroger's parking lot just enjoying my hot french fries. I had 2 cars come up beside me, one on each side. And they started going around the car I was in, blowing their horns. Yeah, really weird, huh? So I called the sheriff's department, and they saw me on my phone, so they took off. Less than 10 minutes later, they were back, going in reverse around my vehicle. What kind of nuts do that?
I don't know. There's not much we could do in Kroger's parking lot, but I can't answer what.
Well, they
they're
did,
doing.
you know, KPD did come out there, and
Okay.
someone from Dollar General came out and said that he saw them. But, you know, there's some crazy people out there, and it's not safe for people to walk in alleys. And like I said, they're bad. There's so many potholes, and I've called about, you know, hey, can we please get some gravel or something in these things? But that don't last long. And, you know, my vehicle's in, you know, having trouble because of all the potholes and all the construction that we had. And Decatur Street between Wayne and Main Street, supposed to have been done after Christmas, according to the supervisor I talked to. But it's still a mess, and it has huge potholes. I thought that a KPD officer was gonna lose his cruiser in it, in one of those potholes.
I know we do have some streets, alleys that need significant attention. The best I can answer you right now on this is I really want to get to this specific issue, and then we can
Yeah, but I'm
work
just
on-
siding with Kim, you know, it's not safe. These alleys are not safe.
I understand that. I don't know if we can generally look at all the alleys with respect to Kim's issue. I understand it comes into play, but if we could, I'd really like to get to ODOT here so we can look at this specific intersection and even that alley as needed.
Is there a hill going up to your alley? I can't remember. That's a problem right there too, is when that gets icy, just
Jill,
sliding on.
Jill, can I ask what your name is? I'm
Oh,
Oh,
Lucinda
yes.
Wireman.
Okay. We have that. Thank you, Chad. I should have asked that. Thank you, Lucinda.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Lucinda. All right, Rob.
no, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me to come talk a little bit. So I'm just going to give you a real brief kind of background of what it is our role is, that is ODOT, what it is that we do in this project, and I guess the reasons that this happened, why the parking was lost specifically. So my name's Rob White. I'm out of our Lima office here, which is ODOT District 1, which covers Hardin County. So First thing I want to talk about is what is ODOT's role? That's usually the common question. We say, well, it's 68 through Kenton, that is ODOT's responsibility. That's a very common perception. It's actually not entirely accurate. What our role with these projects are is when you come within a municipality, for this project specifically, we have what's called stewardship and oversight. So when the city applies to do a project, say Detroit Street, we typically apply for federal funds. That's where most of the money comes from. Some of it's state, the majority is federal. Those federal dollars come from the Federal Highway Admission. They flow through us. They flow through ODOT to the city. Oftentimes, cities aren't direct recipients of federal funds. They can be if they want to be. If they have the staff and they feel that they can manage those jobs, they're welcome to receive them directly. But often they choose to have them come through us. So ODOT's role is we are not the designer of the project. We're not the builder of the project. What we do is we ensure that those federal funds are used properly. They come through us, and we make sure that whatever applicable policies, laws, things like that are in place are followed. So, again, distinguishing factor, the funds flow through there. The city usually applies for grant money, which was the case here. City applies for grant money for those federal dollars. They come through us. We oversee the administration of them as the city uses them. So when you look at the purpose of these projects, when we look at these grants, specifically this one here, which was a small cities grant, we're looking to do a couple things. One, you're looking to rebuild, right? Everything's got a life cycle. We all know that. Within time, it just deteriorates and needs replaced. So we need to rebuild. We need to update the infrastructure that's there, anything that's outdated. So for reference, under 68 was a brick road. It's probably the original road that was there, you know, when it was built, and whenever that was, 40s, 50s, 60s, I don't know. So we update the infrastructure. You can also, you probably are familiar, there was some old trolley tracks from Interurban Rail that was there. That came out as well. But then also at that time is when we modernized the highways. So a lot of things have changed since that road was first built. For instance, you talk about, you know, maybe at one time it was used by the urban rail. Maybe it was used by horse and buggy at some point. Then eventually we got through cars and up to modern day trucks. So at that time is when we modernize it for what we have today. So specifically where that comes into play when we talk about the parking and the lane widths, comes into the fact that trucks are bigger, right? I think everyone would agree 50 years ago they were smaller. It was in the interstate era in the 50s and 60s where an 8-foot truck was normal. That's when that was established. Today they're 102 inches, so they're 8.5 feet. So they keep getting bigger. So when we look at this specifically, we look at these things that we consider for design, right? What is it we're trying to do? What criteria do we have to meet? This is where ODOT, where we come in terms of that stewardship and oversight. So the city hires a design consultant. In this case, it was Choice One. Choice One's the designer of record. No one at ODOT designed it. I didn't design it. I didn't stamp the plans. Nobody at ODOT stamped the plans. What we do is ensure that whenever that designer does that work on behalf of the city, they're just staying in bounds. Here's the criteria. Here's the design considerations. Oftentimes, there are many ways to solve a problem. There's often, you know, multiple right answers. What our job is to make sure we don't pick the wrong answer. There's often, you know, you can go about it one of 10 different ways. Every one of those meets the criteria. Any one of them is correct, and we're fine with any of them if they meet that criteria, which again is a condition of that funding that you receive. So in this case, by today's standards, lanes have to be a minimum of 11 feet wide. We prefer 12, quite honestly, I'll be the first to tell you that. Any four-lane highway or interstate is going to have 12-foot lanes, but the bare minimum is 11, so that's perfectly acceptable. I heard Councilwoman over here talking about the tapers in there. That's something else we consider. The taper length, how you want to funnel traffic to the through lane, and then also the length of that turn lane. That depends on what we call storage. So how many trucks are turning? How long does that storage length need to be? Do you need to be able to stack 1 truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, things like that? So those are all things you think about. Traffic counts, of course, are important. We design a road that's a county road or a township road much differently than an interstate because of the traffic that's on it, as well as that type of vehicle, commercial versus passenger. The road classification, again, a U.S. route or an interstate route is designed much differently than a township or county road. And then also we look at issues such as safety or crashes and what's causing those, be it side swipes from trucks turning, be it people running red lights, whatever those issues are. Those are basically, I mean, those are the bounds that we work within. So specifically here, coming through Kenton, one thing of note, you know, it's very common, I hear a lot that, well, it's been like that for 30 years and it was never a problem. Why would we change it now? This is usually why, because of traffic. So 30 years ago, the traffic may have been considerably less than what it is today. Those numbers are kind of small. But for as long as we've been keeping traffic counts, you can see when these were first taken, say the early 50s, late 40s, you had about 2,000 vehicles going up 68 on a daily basis. This is ADT, average daily traffic. The peak in there was in the 90s. You're at about 8,000. So you quadrupled the traffic than what the road was originally designed for. 2019, you can see at the end of that graph is an anomaly. Those are the COVID years, the stay-at-home orders. That's why you usually see traffic decline and then it sparks right back up. So typically I try to take that out because it's not really representative, but wanted to show you where our data is at. So both 68 and 31, you can see the projections of the traffic and how they keep climbing. Most notably, you can see in the data there on the right, the trucks. Trucks started out, 500, 600, 700. You're up to about 1,500 or more now. So your truck traffic has gone up considerably.
Is that through 68?
So this here, these counts were taken at the very bottom, so I put a little note up there, the SCL, the Southern Corp of Kenton. So if you imagine we put a gate or a counter right at the Corp line on the south side, this is just counting vehicles going through there. So it's possible on the north end, you got people coming in east-west, turning and going north. The numbers may be slightly different, but that's where these were taken. So again, we look at what this is, and you got to remember too, a truck in 1940, 1950, 1960 is significantly lighter and smaller and narrower than what they are today. So although by that time they were trucks, by today's time, there probably wouldn't be a truck as we know it. So here's what we had beforehand. A couple little pictures there from construction. Talked about the lanes. You can see the parking width, the little hatched out area on the right. That would be the northeast side of the road. We had a 12-foot through lane, give or take. That would be the northbound lane. You had two 9-foot lanes, 9.3 is what the surveyors have marked on here. 9.93 is your southbound through and your southbound left. So again, we talked about those minimum widths of 11 feet. Obviously, that's under. So that would have been modernized when this project was rebuilt. They would have been brought up to 11 feet. The truck parking, the car parking there, again, you can see is kind of hatched out. So that's what the road was before construction. This is what it is now. So now you've got the channelizing lines we talked about. Traffic expects, if they're going straight, to follow lines to go straight. That's the common expectation of the driver. They expect, if they're going to turn left, they have to duck out of that through lane and make a left. So that's what this channelizing does. This channelizes the through traffic, really delineates where that's at. We talked about the tapers and the storage for that left turn lane, making sure there's enough room there, and then your northbound through lane is 13 feet, your southbound is 13 feet, your center is 11. Again.
So real quick.
Yeah.
So the way I understood it was it went from 60 feet to 61 feet. That's what I understood it. Am I missing
The
something?
total?
Am I missing something on the math? It was 60 feet was the road width, and it went to 61. 13, 13, and 11 is not 61.
So-
It was by my math.
So I don't know what the parking width was there. I don't have that label. I can find that out for you for sure. On this drawing here, one thing to note is that, so this is your lane width, so that's paint to paint.
Right.
Now, your curve.
Right, that's only, what, 13 and 13, 26, 27, 37 feet out of 61. Even if it's 60, where's the difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. These are the numbers that I have from our surveying team. My understanding it was closer to 40 before.
When you talk about pavement versus right-of-way, those are
Right.
two different things.
I mean, is that the difference?
Yes.
It is.
Right away width could be
You
60, that would
you
make
know,
sense.
it's just like in front of my house, you know, I even the whole sidewalk is within the city right of way on Main Street. Literally, you look on the other side of my fence, so you have the whole right of way because you have all the utilities also that have to go in there. So your road width curb to curb is always much less than your road right of way.
Okay, I
Because
just
again,
Probably sidewalk to sidewalk.
Sidewalk.
Okay, I just
Right.
wanted to make sure, so we had clarity on.
My understanding is it was around 40, give or take. And we could do the math to figure out what the parking width was there, 6 or 7 feet would be my assumption. But this is, the 13 foot is your paint, what's painted, the painted lane. Also, you'll have on there the curb and gutter, you usually have a 2 foot, it's either 18 inch or 2 foot concrete pan there for the gutter and then the curb. So we don't include that as part of the traveled way, although I'm sure anyone who's seen a truck drive through will tell you that they all drive on that anyway, but for the purposes of determining lane width, that's, I'll say, a bonus.
It looks like curb to curb is 40 foot, according to the plans.
So that's the solution that was drawn up. It met all the criteria. We, ODOT, had no objections. It checked all the boxes, and ultimately that is what was carried forward.
Quick question with
Yeah.
that, before I forget. So at what point was it taken into consideration that there was a business there? Or did it? Just out of curiosity. So if I give you a hypothetical, No Limits is a hair and tannery is a business here in Kent. So is Ace, International Paper, places like this. If we deemed that this was for the betterment of the community, if that was Ace Hardware, just hypothetically, would there have been some type of consideration or planning or meeting with the owner of Ace Hardware talking about the impact on business? I guess I'm just trying to figure out if it was just even considered, because it looks like a home, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't look like a place of industry or, you know, a big neon sign that says Ace. But regardless, it still is a business with employees, and I just don't feel like there was any consideration taken with the plans. And we'd all love to take one for the team, for the betterment of Kenton, but at the end of the day, it's a business.
So let's let Rob finish his role, because you bring up a good point. But I think if you go back to what Rob originally explained, I don't think that's really on ODOT.
Nope.
Right, okay. So why don't you go ahead, finish up? Let's remember exactly what was just said here, though, so we can come back to that.
I'm done. Thank you for letting me come.
Rob, I got a quick question on this. On the east side of the road where the taper's at, is there any way to shorten that taper up to where they would have parking there too?
So the east side of the road, if you look, their business lot, I believe, if I misdrew it, please correct me, is outlined in red.
Right, right.
So the taper extends north of where their lot's at.
Exactly. And, you know, people wouldn't mind walking on the sidewalk back to the business if they could put parking in there.
So
I don't think anyhow, if I'm not correct.
Exactly, and that's the parking that we utilized before too, and now we don't have that.
So you're saying from the alley to the old church?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We used all those parking spaces.
Oh, I'm aware.
on
Basically a
that
half a
road.
block.
I know.
So I want to pause everybody a minute. So I don't think a lot of folks realize, we do record our council sessions. And I will tell you, there are many times it becomes very valuable for everyone to be able to go back. So when I pause and say, I need to get you on the microphone, it's because Emma's going to have immense trouble having that recording and transcribing the minutes. So I do just want to pause, and that's why we try not to have too much back and forth. Is there anything else you want to present, Rob?
that's it for me, unless.
Are there
anything
any
else I can-
specific questions for Rob from an ODOT perspective?
Hello.
I'd like to have everybody give their name when they start talking.
Hello, I'm Matt Triplett, and my biggest question is you have a left turn lane here, but we used to have left turn lanes all throughout town, about every intersection. And most of the intersections now don't even have a left turn. Why was this one designed for a left turn? Is it just for the trucks, or?
That, I think that's again a Kenton issue, so if does anyone have, and we're gonna come back to you, anybody have another question for Rob and what ODOT had to do as far as the way he described their role?
I just want to get clarification on the lane width. Is that's code?
So that would be part of, when a city or anybody accepts federal money, you are accepting it under the terms and conditions that you will comply with their standards.
Okay.
So that is a federal highway standard.
Okay.
One thing to note is that this is a US route, which is, you know, a higher classification. It's not a state route. You have state routes as well, but it's a US route. It's also a national freight route, which means it is a designated, as everyone knows with the truck traffic, it is a designated freight route through Ohio. So what that means is that there are, when you design these roads, you design them for certain types of trucks, you know, whether it be a smaller box truck, whether it be an agriculture truck, or whether you design it for interstate type truck. And a US freight route is more or less designed for essentially interstate type trucks.
Thank you.
If you're able to, Rob, can you stick around a
Sure.
little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Triplett had a question. I think you guys heard it. Do you want, either of you want to address that question?
So the left-hand turn lanes on Main Street were taken out, basically, and that's I think, because both, and the left turn lanes going into Main Street are out. Everything going in, left turn lanes are still on Detroit. Once again, they didn't paint the lines right on Detroit Street. There will be turn lanes when they do permanent striping. Will be turn lanes on Detroit Street. So the left turn lanes, it's all about through traffic and slowing traffic down. So the entire goal, once, this is just a phase, once the entire goal is to create this through traffic of freight and the cars and trucks that's going through Kenton. It's not local, it's through. How to get them through Kenton the quickest, safest, most efficient route. So that's why the design, when everything's said and done, that we want to keep everything moving through on Detroit Street and not to Main Street. That's
Sue.
why we did no left-hand turn.
I have a question about the northbound side of the road. This is where you would be parking, right? Not on the east-west, it would be north-south.
Well, yeah, I think they're mostly concerned with the east side of the street on the northbound,
Right, the east side of the
the
street,
northbound lane.
but the northbound lane. I'm not sure how the left-hand turn off of Detroit onto, what is that, Carroll Street? How does that impact people parking on the side going northbound? You know what I'm saying?
They're talking about on Detroit Street.
That's what she's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, on Detroit Street. If you're coming in, if you're going to their salon, if I'm thinking of the right place, you're going north. Okay, and you're parking on the east side of the street going north. How is that impacting somebody making a left-hand turn coming south? Is that the issue?
Well, no, we took,
No.
the
Yeah,
parking's gone.
The
We
parking's
took it
Going in
away.
front.
It's
I
northbound,
understand
it's
that, but
northbound turning from Carroll.
Yeah.
So when you're turning from Carroll.
You're talking about people coming from Carroll, making a right-hand
So-
turn and going
Right.
north.
So
Okay.
I think it has to do with, you have the southbound lane, you have the turn lane, and then you're north. They extended that left turn back so that there's no place for cars to go if anything's parked in there.
Okay.
To go around to park cars, my impression.
Remember, the lanes did not meet specs before either. They were just over 9 feet. Right? Aren't I remembering that from your?
Yeah, if I may, so if you look at this, it's truncated off the bottom of the screen, you can't see it. But you'll notice some kind of faint green and red lines on here. So the concern, to your point, would be westbound traffic turning north. So if you look, those are what we call turn movements. So whenever we design a road, or whenever a designer designs a road, we have models for trucks. And it basically shows the wheel path of them. We have different templates for different things, be it a combine, a truck, a school bus, all that. So we plug that in, and then this tells where the wheel paths would go. So this is your before, and if you look, you can see the green and the red, those would be your axles on the truck, and you can see that they actually sideswipe the parked cars. That was in the beforehand by the template. Now, I will tell you that design software is not 100% perfect. If you have a fantastic truck driver, he may have been able to make the turn. But this is in general how a truck would react when you turn in this specific condition.
And that contact happens where it moves over. But what about north of that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you can kind of see that the cab has to swing over into this, and then, yes, eventually it would get back into the lane.
Kim, I have a question. I know me and you spoke, before this. But as far as council, could you let council know for the year that that project was in place, where did your employees and your people park at that time? And how is it not feasible now?
It's been a disaster ever since they started the roads. We've had people parking in the alleys where the tenants live. They've had to go out and move vehicles. It's constantly been moving vehicles. It's just, it's been a disaster.
The ones that are mobile and don't have any health issues or mobility issues, it's business as usual. They're figuring out a way to get it done. I don't have an exact number for you of how many no longer come because it's too difficult.
How many spots did you lose right out front on the east side of, I mean, I realize people could have parked on up to Tree.
Probably 4 or 5 on the next row. So probably about 8 or 9 spots.
Well, okay, I'm gonna say in front of your parcel, which I realize you can park anywhere on the tree. How many did you lose in front of your 3 there?
And the road across the alley, there's 4 or 5. We would always utilize that.
Sure. Lydia?
I have a question. Isn't that the Huntington Bank drive-through? Do they have a parking lot or?
They do, but their employees and their downtown employees use that parking lot. Sometimes they let us use the 2 spaces in the front, but we can't always use those spaces.
But we couldn't work with them, in other words.
Right, because they're full. They asked us not to because they're full from their employees from the downtown. They walk down that way. And I don't know, why there is parking on every spot of the road. Like, they have the cutout before us. They have parking on each side after us. We don't need the grass and the sidewalk. Couldn't we cut that out and make designated parking areas the block before us, where the dentist office is, and across from there the physical therapy place? They have the cutouts where the people can park in there. If they would have done that in front of our building and the next building over, between the alley and the church, then we would have had no issues.
And I know I saw that you have that in there as one of your suggestions.
It's they just skipped right over our block.
And what I'll,
Can I answer that one?
okay, yeah, I'm looking for someone.
So that was a separate project. The parking areas that were created are in the downtown business district. Your block is not part of the downtown business district. So that was a whole separate funded project.
I just think that it could have been acknowledged, they're a business, they've been here for a long time. We could extend it a block, I mean.
Honestly, I don't think anyone realized it until it was done.
Exactly, yes.
And I know there was a post on Facebook about your parking.
Yes.
And I ignorantly replied to that, the street's still the same width.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize till they opened the street and I drove down, they've extended these lanes.
I agree. I don't think it was done intentionally. I think it was just kind of overlooked, and then it always looks different on paper, and then when it gets done, then you know, it's a problem.
So we need to all acknowledge, though, the lanes weren't wide enough before.
Yes.
Okay, they're only
But
9
also,
feet.
it is a foot wider
Oh.
because they bought a foot on the other side of the road. They bought that from the dentist office and down through that area.
Part of this has to do with that fact, though, that they were only 9 feet 2 inches?
9.3 feet.
Or 9.3 before. They've got to get them to 11. So right there's almost over 3 feet that went away.
And we're not saying that everything that is Adam, right, Rob's, all this stuff's, everything you guys bring up and everything you guys did is valid. It was all needed. We're not arguing that one bit. It's just that at what point, you know, do you decide, well, this is going to, which is the greater cause here, you know, I mean.
I can at least sign.
Okay.
I just want to make it very clear. So, one, I want to make it very clear. Every conversation I've had with Kim, she is just very, it was a pleasure. I mean, she just brought a lot of issues. And I remember the first time she called and I'm like, yeah, they didn't change because I didn't know it changed. And it is 100% mine because I sign off on all that project. And I don't look at every detail. And, you know, so that is on me. So when I said that, and it's like, yeah, you know, and I wasn't in town at the time, so, but when I got back and I'm like, hey, and they're like, yeah, there's not. I'm like, oh, okay. So then we went back and kind of walked around and tried to see what you had. It's very, very difficult when, I mean, I feel for you because I hear it's very legit what you're saying. The hard part is we have to remember that on public street, and it's just like people in the downtown businesses, no parking space is yours. It's like out in a residential. People can park anywhere you want. We look at the north side of the square. We have parking issues for, let's say, exclusive. Their people have to park sometimes down by the Armory and walk because people are patronizing another business or utilizing the courthouse or stuff like that. That's the hard part because there's no guarantee. And it's like, even if we would widen that, let's say the apartment house north of you decides to bring in new people and they all want to park there because they can. And there's not any set or reserved parking. Same with Top Knot on Saturdays. They have to battle with twirl people coming in. So yes, they have that lot that's close by, but sometimes it's just the hard part is that. And like we've talked about, yes, you have been there for a very long time. And I think from the support from the community and me with it, yes, you know, you have a great business, and I can see why you do have great business just because of the type of person you are. But it just makes it so difficult. I don't know you can't guarantee those spots for your business. I mean, I know we've had trouble with.
We couldn't before either, so, I mean, that's understandable.
And I think we kind of even had that conversation, and it's a waiting game, and I get it, you're taking a hit. You know, that's the big thing too. This is the livelihood of people that work for you, the people that want to use your services, that, you know, we've talked about it, that maybe once it's all said and done and we do have this through traffic, maybe that turn lane goes away. And we're not utilizing Carroll Street that way. But the problem is, just like what you had to endure through the construction, you'll have to endure that time frame until we get this all done. And then there's no guarantee, you know. But definitely we'd always look at that.
can I ask a question, Lynn? I'm kind of thinking like we went through this somewhat to a degree in front of the Kenton Times, that block from Wayne to Cherry is no parking as well. So Crates ended up losing parking out front. There was them pull-in spots in front of the Kenton Times that used to be there. So we've kind of been through this to where we've lost parking in just a single block, but I know Crates petitioned or whatever for the alleys to be vacated. I mean, that's an option as well for these as well, right? To petition the city for vacating alleys?
Right, and I think by having that conversation, through what needs to happen to do that, there has to be a lot of people on board, so neighbors, everything has to sign off on it too.
That house, this one house north of you, right on the side of the alley, and they park parallel beside their home, is that an apartment building or is that a residential, just one homeowner lived there? Because I noticed.
No, that's the house.
Because I noticed they park like parallel along there. There's not any space for you to do that on the other side, is there? Because your ramp's there. I mean, I drove by there a lot trying to like follow semis and trying to put myself in that position. If I was parked in front of your building, do I want to even try to get out of my car door? Because I mean, honestly, maybe that's just me because I've been hit from behind and beside. I'm always looking up or looking over, even when I'm getting out of my car, like to undecorate Christmas windows, I'm always looking to see, is there a semi coming? And that's just how I think. I don't know. But I did notice they parked parallel alongside that alley. I just didn't know if that would be somehow possible that we could try to figure that out for you. But.
So, Ms. Webb, in a situation like this, is it safe to say that when we're updating safety streets and making these upgrades that you were saying that nothing's guaranteed on parking? That would trump, right? That would trump residential business.
Well, I think I think we've had that conversation even when we took parking away on South Wayne and Market Street. There's the public streets, like we've said, from the 60s, everybody had one car. And as you drive through the town, you can see the older part of town, nobody has a garage. If it is a garage, they have it. It's detached garage. Most of the houses in the 60s are a one-car garage. Now everybody has 3 cars, 4 cars. So now we're really getting packed in on trying to figure. But to keep traffic moving within the downtown safely, then we had to make some changes on that. And it does throw some curveballs because the tough part is there's not a guarantee to park in front of your house, to park, in front of your business,
Okay, see, I didn't even know that. I would think that if you pay taxes on the property and own the property, that by all rights you have parking. So I didn't.
All right, I just go by you.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you
well,
say Kenton Times has already lost, other businesses have lost
Well, there's no
parking?
parking between Wayne and, I think it's Cherry, that block, there's no parking there as well. So it affected Crates as well as the Kenton Times. If
Okay.
you remember, there used to be like them they were recessed up to the sidewalk there as well. which
Okay.
I think the turn lanes played a part in that as far as you had to go, same as what was in front of your business, you had to go along the side there and it was tight. So I think it's a very similar situation.
The main difference is, because on Franklin Street, the Dresser had the same issue when we took their parking. But it's just like Evolution, they have parking behind. And that's where you guys got locked in there because you don't have an out and everybody else has had an out. That's the tough part. But I will work diligently with Brad and see if we can make something work on that lot too.
And I mean, this scenario would not play out in any kind of new development because our zoning, our setbacks, our minimum lot requirements, we would never allow the structure of this. Now, that is not your fault, and I'm not saying you guys created this. This was done years ago, and it's like the mayor said, times have changed. So we don't want you to stop doing what you're doing, but it's just trying to figure out what else can we do. And there's not just a slam dunk thing that's going to work for everybody. So it's just trying to figure it out. But we appreciate your willingness to work with us, and hopefully we can get this figured out. Just, you know, this kind of scenario in new builds and stuff, we have parking space requirements and everything that's all built into the plan. But like I said, that's not your fault, and I'm not saying you guys have done something wrong. It's just the reality of we got these old structures, change of times, and how do we try to make it work, you know? And I know the mayor's trying to work with it, and obviously if things with the roundabout, maybe that can be looked at in the future too. But as she said, we can't change that component now till we know what we're looking at once the new traffic is in, and that won't be for a while. So.
Well, and we rely on engineers. We're not, none of us but one are engineers up here. And I don't think you consider yourself a traffic engineer.
No.
So with that though, I'd say, I mean, thank you so much for giving ideas. That's the biggest thing. And as we look at those three you have there, I think to some extent, it's been explained why the first idea may not work, at least immediately, about reinstall the lines as they were, kind of, because the lanes weren't wide enough before. We've had to make them at least 11 feet wide now. They are a little bit wider than the minimum also. So with that in mind, though, and Lynn commented about working with, if I hit that button, Chief Muster, I don't mean it. I think I just bumped it. If Brad will work with you, that's fine, and appreciate Lynn working with him. I mean, I think everybody knows, though, I mean, that's private property, so that'd be something the two of you would really need to work out. But there's that middle idea, the right-of-way, and I would think between yourselves and Choice One, at some point, we could take a peek at that again and just see what's there.
It was wide enough. What about the utilities?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We can't, there's no way we could decide whether that second option was even viable without involving an engineer.
You mentioned earlier there's a streets and alleyway
Yeah.
council or
Committee.
something?
It's just a subcommittee of council. We normally do not try to take up 45 minutes of council meeting. We're fortunate tonight, we don't have.
We didn't know which avenue to.
You're fine what you did.
Okay, yeah,
And-
you're fine.
and Absolutely,
This is right.
100% perfect. This is the way, that this is one of the few times that you can get something in a public forum. So this is exactly what you should do.
How would you suggest we move forward? Just exchange numbers and
Well,
one contact?
We're
This-
definitely,
this is
and
one of-
we're still in the process of getting all those committees finalized, because we do have some new council members, but they meet in a couple of weeks if we maintain that meeting date. And we will have this in front of them, but as to that second idea of removing a portion of the grass and using the right-of-way, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that, and we'd have to definitely look at other options there, or look at other outside resources to even consider that. And that's not something that would happen overnight. About this, okay, sure. Introduce yourself, please.
Michelle Lavis, and I have a little bit of a sticky wicket question, which isn't just, so it's private property, and even if you, like, if they would come and say, hey, we're just looking for a different type of easement or the alley, that's the construction portion of that, or even the engineering portion of that, that would be a self-pay. That wouldn't be, I mean, any of the projects that we currently had are finished, so you couldn't roll any of that into what's already been done, so.
Well, no, I mean, first off, if it was in front, it would involve right-of-way, so it wouldn't be private property.
Well, right, so
But the
it would be
project-
the tree lane, the
but the
tree sort
project
of
is-
line.
right,
But
the project-
would we, as a city, I mean, expected to foot the bill for any construction that would happen, like in that sidewalk tree lawn?
Not even, can't even go there yet. That would be part of looking at all of that.
Yeah, that would just be, I mean, as a citizen, it'd be like, I get it. I mean, you're out of the business district, you're here, you're in a catch-22 area. I just more thinking of, in your possibilities, you go, wow, there are some options, but that gets expensive real quick. So I
That's-
just didn't know if that was,
Part of why I said it would take an engineer and others involved, and we
But
couldn't
the,
do that tonight.
the alley, if they would take over the alley, that would become private property-ish.
It was abated.
If
It
it
would
was,
be
if it
abated,
was,
yes.
yeah,
But
if
they
it
would
was
have to
vacated.
get the neighbor on the other side to agree to
Right.
that also.
Right.
Okay.
And it's
Yep.
split, right, John?
Yeah.
Is it split? Is the
Yep,
alley
split down the middle unless you buy it from the other neighbor, the other half.
And we can't control that by law.
Right.
When an alley or street is vacated, one half goes to one property owner, one half goes to the other. So if it's vacated, half would go to the Draper property, half would go to your property.
Right,
And then
and
you
then-
guys
and
could
then
privately agree to some other arrangement, either through deeding the north half of the alley or south, or giving a joint easement or a shared use agreement could be worked through. But to get that to be private, it would be vacating the whole alley, and then we just need to see who else is using that alley to see if that's a good decision or not,
Anyway, sticky wicket, I know,
Yeah, that would be part of what would be
Right.
looked at in all of it, and might be a possibility.
Wait.
There's 2 more projects coming up that involve that street.
And we probably need to be aware that we would be setting a precedence here.
Oh, absolutely, that would be part of also what would need to be considered.
Further toward the north, is that, you say that there's more
Well,
projects
it's
coming?
that, and then John already said the R word, the roundabout then to the south.
What time, when, 28? 28, I think, is from Eliza to the park.
Yeah, it would
So
actually
it'll be
be,
very similar to, it'll be exactly what just happened in front of yours house. Or
Exactly.
business. Sidewalks, curbs, gutters. That's
So-
28.
Alleys and streets meet the 28th.
right, in a couple weeks. And I want to immediately say, the council subcommittees, I mean, they're going to look to the administration and say, okay, who have you discussed, who have you reached out as far as experts? Our council members, again, are not engineers, so we're going to listen to the administration quite a bit. So ultimately, might the administration want me to move that on to that committee? Sure, and we probably will. But I can tell you right now, I don't think that committee, this is too involved to necessarily for them to decide at their next meeting.
Our hope moving forward is just some great communication, and just know that we are extremely motivated to do whatever we can to figure something out.
Pick up some spots,
Something.
as many as we can find.
And I gave you that commitment back at you. We'll work together, we'll stay on it, and we'll just keep trying to find solutions and, hope we can find something, and we'll start with Brad, and we'll go from there and see what's the next option, and try to think outside the box, but definitely commit to that.
Do you use your
Appreciate it.
handicap ramp, is that used quite a bit there on the north side of your building? Do you use that quite a bit?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times they'll snug up to the building and go up the ramp there.
Right now, it's kind of the Wild West. They're going to squeeze in wherever they can. So like the Huntington next door, they have to be fuming at this point because majority of the time, I bet you the vehicles over there, the majority of them are no limit customers. we're not gonna go out there with flags and tell them not to park there. So they're gonna squeeze in wherever they can. I'm surprised they haven't started parking at Brad's already without asking.
I am
so.
too, yeah.
Okay, we'll keep working with administration, possibly involve that committee, and look at the possible ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone who does want to leave now, you are free to do so. I can pause here a minute if you want to. We're going to keep moving right along now.
Joe.
Yes, who is, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, since Mr. Schwimmer brought up the R word, and then you brought up the R word.
So I would say this part is for individuals that were on the agenda for a particular subject. We do have time at the end of the meeting for anything, if we can go to that.
Okay.
That's under comments from the public, and that is right after we get through legislation, which we don't have any legislation tonight.
So it should go fast.
It'll go quick. Okay. Communications. A few things at your seat tonight. Ohio Ethics Commission filing reminders, especially new council members. If you have any questions on that, please see Emma. You call any existing council members too. It's a fairly easy process. If you've done it before, current council members, I'm certain several of you have probably already done it again. I have not yet, but it's literally about a 5 or 10 minute process on your phone.
It takes a little longer the first time you do it because you have to put in information, and mostly like investments and stuff, you have to put that in. But then the next year, you click a button and it imports everything. So the new council members, it'll take a little bit longer than probably 10 minutes the first time you do it. But then next year, the only thing you're doing is updating with changes. But I will warn you that filing deadline is very important. There's the penalty per day if you fail to do that. So please make sure everyone, my recommendation is try to get it done before you have another council meeting here, just to get it done and off the list, because if you're late, there's a daily fee that is owed as a penalty for non-filing.
I was just ask John, I think I filled out something incorrectly. Well, I mean, I filed it, but I put down, I think, the wrong year. I don't think I thought of the 2-year term. I think I put down 2026.
And as we discussed too, go with it. They'll reach out to you if there's an issue.
I just want to make sure I'm not going to get in trouble. It wasn't intentional.
I mean, following up on what Sue said, especially if you haven't done it before, as you read the questions, especially when you get into the monetary reporting, you may read a question where at first you think, oh gosh, I have to put that down. As you read the entire question and make certain you're reading it with respect to the category of your pay and your role, your elected job, that you're reading it with the right category in mind. That'll make more sense when you read it. But take your time and read the entire question. Because there are some things that you actually, once you get to the very end, oh, I don't have to put that dollar amount. Okay. We brought this up 3 weeks ago, Ohio Municipal League, their newly elected council seminars. I did put a flyer for each of you. First, why I put it for each of you, there's nothing wrong with existing council members to go to that, and I say that because I don't know that we've traditionally had anyone ever go. And I've been around a long time, and I can't recall anyone ever going. I've been to a couple OML events over the years, always pretty good. if any council members would like to consider going to one of those dates, now the date closest to us would be the 21st, and that is Lewis Center. The other ones are essentially Cincinnati and Cleveland-ish. So it's Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati is really the three locations. So we could probably look at, if we are an OML member, so it would be $125, and we could see if we can look at something in the budget to consider that, depending on what finance says is available. And then finally, there was another flyer.
Yes, I had it there. So this is put on by RCAP. It's basically for utility board members and council members, and it's dealing with the financials, responsibilities of running your utilities. It is a requirement in order for us to get principal forgiveness with the EPA. And I think now anymore, it has to be in person. So anybody that's interested in going to this, I will also register. We can all write together. It's free, and it's in Newark. We'd go early in the morning and come back in the afternoon, so.
What's the date on it?
March 18th.
March 18th.
So just let me know by the next meeting if you're interested, and I'll remember to ask you, and we'll try to get everybody registered.
Okay. Any other communications that we might have missed? Petitions, I know of none that have been presented. So we'll move on to administrative reports. I think we might have lost both our chiefs.
They're there.
Oh, they're right there.
They're in the timeout room.
So Chief Musser, anything?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Chief Donnelly? All right. Anything you'd like to talk about economic development? Either of you?
I know, we had a meeting with the Economic Development Committee, which is ran by the Holly Underwood she's our local economic development person, chair and president of the Chamber and Business Alliance. We met with them, talked about some site selection. Again, most of our sites are outside the city corps. So, but we're going to try to I talked with them, and we'll put it on our website, the sites that are available within the city limits. So we just basically talked about site selection and that kind of stuff. That was for economic development.
Income tax, no report this week. Probably will have a wrap-up of the year, maybe in 2 weeks, would you guess? Income tax?
I can see.
Don't have auditor or treasurer here. We don't have anything on the, well, actually, our treasurer was here tonight.
She was.
John, one of the few times that you have a report.
You'll see my report. I think it is self-explanatory, and it was in the packet. However, I would like to report to council. We spoke last meeting about pursuing possible foreclosure on the Dave Rigdon lien. He did pay the amount in full on Friday this last week, so he's paid the entire obligation to the city. Yep, and so he does not owe us any more. So we had assessed it to the surplus lot. I've directed the county auditor to remove that charge, and we also had a judgment lien on his assets, and I filed to get that released today. So that kind of marks the end of that long-going dispute, but I wanted to let the press know that that was paid in full, so we'll not be pursuing any more collections, and we've released all the liens that we have on any of his properties.
All right, thanks, John. If you have any questions about John's annual report, please feel free to ask him about that. It's one of the highlights of our year.
Yeah.
Cindy?
We finished leaf pickup today, and the guys are working on starting to cold patch all the potholes, so you'll be happy to know that. And just a reminder that they're going to be fixing the water leak on the next block down, 200 block of West Franklin Street tomorrow. So they may have some low pressure in that area, but we'll try to fix it under pressure. So that's it.
Okay. Mayor Webb.
That line gives us a terrible time, that water line. There's a seam on top of it that's flawed, so that's why we consistently have breaks down through there until we get a project that we can replace that entire line. We'll probably battle this for a while, so that's why that line continues to, it's that seam, there's a seam right on top of that line. It's not good. So it goes from down to Layton Street, that water line. So that's why we're consistently fighting that. So until we can get a decent look at a project to replace that entire line.
Are they closing that section of the street to do that repair, or?
No.
Okay.
It's in front of the theater, is that right?
Yes.
Also, March 19th, put it on your calendars. State of the City will be at the new school in the Performing Arts Center. So we'll give everybody plenty of room to sit and be comfortable, and we'll lay it all out and take questions, and I hope everybody can be there. So March 19th.
Thursday.
I think we'll go, did we say 6:30? 6:30. That's what I had.
You needed a venue to be able to handle your
Well, we
crowd.
started last year
Right.
with the invitation from Church of Nazarene, and then once the school opened, that was kind of brought in, and we thought, heck yes, that's a great venue, and we'll be able to utilize it and be able to stream and record and all that stuff from there. So it'll be a great asset for us to use.
All right, we're up to reports of and scheduling of standing committees and special committees. So first, none of those committees have any reports. I'm almost certain of that. Committees. I have had several reach out to me with a little bit of hold up in getting new emails assigned, and with just some issues I had over the holidays. We're working on finishing that up. I believe new emails will be assigned here in the next couple of days. Is that right? I did hand out 3 weeks ago to those, the new folks and anyone else that wanted one, the descriptions of our council committees. We do have 4 committees that meet on a regular or semi-regular basis. Management, Organization, and Personnel, which we will refer to as MOP. That actually is required in our codified ordinances, and that committee is there to assist in the administration of Chapter 249 of the ordinances, looking at studying personnel matters, make recommendations as to necessary legislation, for example, with the amount of folks and what their range of pay is in a particular area. We're looking for folks that might be interested in that committee. There's Finance Committee, which was very busy, will be extremely busy all year long, and I can tell you we'll normally meet on average a couple times a month, sometimes handle some of that via email, but mostly via in-person meetings. They are largely responsible for the budget. Public Utilities Committee, work with our Safety Service Director on the utilities, water, sewer, stormwater, and then finally streets, sidewalks, and alleys, which I referred to that committee earlier. I have had a couple council members reach out to me. If you have a particular desire to be on one, I'm going to get these finished up here in the next day or so I can email this out. Please let me know. I do not intend to appoint chairpersons this year. have the committees organize themselves. You'll want to elect a chairperson. Would highly encourage maybe to get in the habit, and remember, we meet at 7 o'clock. There's nothing wrong, other than we may have to once in a while work around a public meeting, if we have that, a public hearing. There's nothing wrong with saying if MOP wants to just put up a standing meeting that we're going to meet the fourth Monday at 6 o'clock prior to council, nothing wrong with doing that. And if you've got nothing to meet about, then you don't, you sit and look at each other until council starts. I would only say that some of those, MOP in particular, utilities would be the other one, really have a lot of coordination there to work with Cindy on. Well, really streets too. And if you have ideas of legislation, of ordinances, of whatever it might be that you think the city ought to be looking at, that is the format, or that is the place where you want to bring that up. So if any council member, or you have a member of the public ask you about, well, why doesn't the city do whatever? You can always go to that legislation meeting and bring it up. And legislation can organically originate from the people through the council members to the committee. We try to get that stuff vetted out, though, with the administration and the committee before it comes here. The other would be some of our individual appointments, and tonight we do want to try to take care of a few of those things. So we are required to elect a council clerk. Obviously, Emma has that role, and that is actually part of her title, but we actually have to formally elect that clerk each year. We also elect a backup or an assistant. In the past, that normally has been someone within the city office, and it's been Whitney Wyatt the last couple of terms. Whitney works in human resources. So I would ask, is there any objections, or is anyone comfortable with those two individuals being on the slate, being the only people on the slate for those two roles?
You need that in a form of a motion.
And then I was going to ask for a motion. And then,
I second.
so the motion by Sue, second by Doris, is that Emma be the council clerk, Whitney be the council clerk pro tem. Any discussion on that motion? All right, if we could do a voice vote for that.
Sue Fox Broker,
Yes.
Lydia Miller,
Yes.
Cliff Winiger,
Yes.
Chad Miller,
Yes.
Peg Wren,
Yes.
Doris Bloom,
Yes.
Robin Jones.
Yes.
And that passes 7-0, so Emma, you got to do it again and tell Whitney she's and I did ask Emma if Whitney would agree to do that again. I think there was only one time last year that we needed to rely on Whitney because Emma's extremely reliable. The next one is President Pro Tem of Council. Most of you remember Dave filled in for me a couple times, former council member Dave Beasley. I think last year, the whole year, I might have missed, I know I missed 2, I might have missed 3 meetings. That's, I will say, abnormal for me, but it happens from time to time. So I would like now to, are there any nominations, or is anyone, I know there's one person that expressed an interest. Is there anyone interested in serving as President Pro Tem?
I nominate Chad.
Chad's been nominated. Any other nominations? Why don't we have a motion? We'll just do a voice vote here. You don't need to do a roll call.
I move that we close the nomination, and can you cast a unanimous ballot? or-
Well, then we'll do a voice vote. You can do it that way, Sue. You move that we close the nominations and elect Chad?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Peg. Any discussion on that? And I tried it once in a while, if it's because of being sick, it may be last minute, I try to not do that, though. Go ahead, Emma.
Lydia Miller,
Yes.
Cliff Winiger,
Yes.
Chad Miller,
Yes.
Peg Wren,
Yes.
Doris Bloom,
Yes.
Robin Jones,
Yes.
Sue Fox Broker.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. So Chad, President Pro Tem, thank you for stepping up and would be willing to do that. And that is who had reached out to me as well. So beyond that, we did, of the other individual appointments, we do have several. A couple of them I have to check on because Dave had been here so long. For example, the Regional Planning Commission, I got to get a hold of Mark and see.
It was in the paper, the meetings.
I know they usually meet the first, that's one of them that we always have trouble being able to be in time for that one. The other one, so I'll get a hold of Mark Dahl and we'll get someone assigned to that. The Regional Planning Commission, you'll serve as a member of that commission representing the best interest of the city of Kenton and the commission in general. I'm trying to do a quick, concise explanation of the regional. John, can you come up with one?
Probably. No, just overall planning and with business and development and you know.
Grants
and
right.
funds that come in from the state and federal.
Right, because it almost always has to be approved. So.
Right, so there's a formula actually for how, sort of a formula for how a lot of those funds are divided throughout the county, and that commission has everything to do with how that is carried out. If any of you have a desire, since we know they already met, they'll probably meet again though in February. Reach out to me, let me know. The other appointment that I already made was Sue Broker will be our representative on the Grove Cemetery Board. That's another one that meets quickly before we do, and Sue has already attended a meeting. So we got that one filled. The BKP Ambulance District, we have one appointment there along with each of the townships involved. I have been doing that. I do not have to do that. They have not met their first meeting, but they will meet next Monday. They are a Monday night, the third Monday at 6 o'clock. If any of you have a desire to be on that board, and that board runs, they have total oversight of BKP. It is a once a month meeting. If you have a desire, please see me. I do not have to continue with that appointment. Do not have to, but that's one that we do want to try to be there 90% of the time at that. We can miss once in a while, but we want to try to be there. Tree Commission is an inside, that's a City of Kenton appointment. We would be looking for someone to be really the council liaison between the Tree Commission, which is an appointed group of individuals, the mayor appoints them, and council. The reason it's important is mostly budgeting process where they are trying to say, hey, we want to get these many trees removed, here's what we'd like to do, and that council person or the commission themselves will come and speak to council that night. That's a very active group and one that we do want to try to get a council member to liaison with them. Normally that is during the work day sort of meeting.
No, it's the fourth Wednesdays, 6 o'clock.
You're having it in the evenings, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that works for you, please see me about that because we definitely have an opening there because try to give everyone, it divides up where everyone gets about 3 appointments. 2 committees and 1 individual, give or take. I guess the only other one I would mention right now would be the rec board, but I kind of thought Robin would probably want to do that again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And Kenton CIC meets rarely. Peg's on that right now. We can talk about that if someone really has a desire, but they meet very rarely. So with that, the last thing I would say for council to think about, now this would be changing our codifieds if we ever did this. We can change the time of council. I brought that up 3 weeks ago for you all to think about. Just think about that. I'm not driving for that at all, but we do have 2 brand new faces and 1 fairly new face. So we have done it once before in the past, but that would involve, that's actually in the codified.
We used to meet at 7:30.
We used to meet at 7:30.
You know, when I first started in. So.
And honestly, the reasoning is I think way back they would tend to have committee meetings before council. So keep that in mind. I don't think we have any reports from council members, so we're going no old business. Any new business that we haven't brought up? Em and I will get a list in front of you. There'll be 2 or 3 different holidays probably that we're going to have to adjust council meetings. I glanced at the calendar, and I think only 2 of them jumped out at me. We'll get that for the next meeting because it, oh wait, doesn't. No, Martin Luther King, we do not hit that this year. That is the 19th, so that's next Monday.
It's just Memorial Day.
Yeah, I think it's only Memorial, I was thinking there might have been another
there's
one. There's not Juneteenth? No, it's always on that day. We'll double check that and bring those up to you. We have no ordinances or resolutions this evening, which council members, new council members especially, that is not uncommon for the first meeting of the year. That is not uncommon. Do not anticipate that in the future. Finally, other matters. Is there anything else we need to talk about as a whole? You can always talk to me anytime you'd like. Okay, comments from the public. Anyone here would like to address council and/or the administration? Please come up to the podium. I would ask, we are at 8:30, I mean, try to be concise and direct.
Well, since, like I said, Mr. Schwimmer brought up the R word and you brought up the R word, I done a little test of by myself. I started up on Kohler Street and went south. And then went clear down to Espy Street, turned left, and then I turned left onto Main Street, went up to North Street, turned left onto North Street, and that time, how long do you think it took me to get around town? Less than 6 minutes. And I was told the reason for the roundabout was because of traffic. Well, then I did it the other way. And do you know how long it took me to get around town? Less than 7. So I have a big problem with the roundabout, especially where they want to put it, because I was told the BKP station's going to be affected by it for at least 30 days, and I have a huge problem with that. And then I was told, well, they're only going to do half of the entrance exit for the BKP and then the other half. They're going to be working with the BKP station, the construction company. I said, well, what happens if they don't? I said, what happens if they break it and say, you know, close the whole thing off?
You cannot do that.
But what happens if they do? I know that's what you say, they can't do it.
No.
But we all know.
I will guarantee you, we
I will
cannot do
guarantee
that.
They cannot. That's why we have a Kenton person on that board. And that's being looked at very closely. And you're going to have construction from time to time, and you always have to, we've had to work with the fire department before. We've had to work with BKP before.
Yeah, but this is different. I mean, it's a straight shot right now down Detroit Street. And you put a roundabout there, you're going to have to go around the roundabout and take off, you know, instead of just a straight shot. Hardly anybody uses Perry Street, turn left. The truck drivers use it to take naps, which, hey, I think is great. I'd rather have truck drivers taking a nap there than driving tired and possibly wrecking, especially if they take out, you know, an innocent person or a family, like what has happened so many times. I just do not like it. I think it's a waste of money, to be honest, because it's not solving anything to me. Because like I said, it's a straight shot from North Detroit Street, just to go straight. And turn left on Espy. And then turn left on Main Street and just straight shot up there.
It works for your vehicle, but for a interstate semi, that those 2 turns at Espy and then back to Main, it's a no-go.
They could use Fairground Road. That's why we widened Fairground Road.
And that's not why we ride in Fairground Road. That's for graphic packaging. And Fairground Road is not a state route.
Yeah, I know it's not a state route. I didn't think Espy Street was either, but.
It is.
I think it's been stated, like,
67.
obviously, truck drivers, they follow their GPS and the shortest route. And the premise is the roundabout will take you from 31 268 through a crossover, and that'll create the shortest route on a GPS.
It's
Yeah,
to
but
get
it's-
traffic through.
It's so close to the river and the railroad tracks.
So let's establish something. We're not going to be able to totally work through the entire roundabout issue again at council in one sitting. And again, we've got down your concerns, and we even have someone here from ODOT who heard those concerns as well, and appreciate them. We can't provide you any answer tonight to change that. We can only pass on those concerns. That project's pretty deep into that already.
And the businesses too, you know, how it's going to affect some of the businesses that are right there. I mean, you know, I care for our businesses. I patron them all the time, especially down there. You know, I've lived by the tracks most of my life, and I hear trains all the time. So, you know, there's a lot of trains that go through there. And then could we possibly get some more lights uptown? Some more street lights. It's pretty dark up in town.
They're coming.
Yeah, the downtown project is not complete by any means yet.
Okay.
There's significant steps to go
Okay.
through, including
And-
signals and.
Could we possibly get rid of the white curbs, or at least paint them so we can see the white curbs? Because like, when you're going east, when you're headed west, excuse me, on Columbus Street, up by Huntington Bank, that curb is a normal curb. But then right over at Twirl, it's a huge curb. So when you're going straight.
We're addressing that. We're addressing that.
Okay.
And again, I would say it's still incomplete. The striping is not there. There's an awful lot yet to still be completed.
Yeah, I know, there's still white arrows turning left, and I'm like, it's not left-hand turn lane there.
Yeah, it's a tough time right now.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak during public comments? Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Mr. White. We're old pen pals, aren't we, buddy?
Good to meet you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thad Gardner, and as a candidate for Ward 2, I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to my opponent, Mrs. Miller. Is that what I call you, Mrs. Miller? Sure. Okay. As well as to Mr. Winiger and Mrs. Bloom on their election to the City Council. I want to thank each of you for your courage in stepping forward and for your commitment to making a difference in our hometown. The trust placed in you by the community is a clear acknowledgement of your dedication to public service. Restoring Kenton's safety and greatness will require honest and ethical representation in both local and state levels in government. This is the only way the outrageously inadequate and dangerous state route intersections our new schools got stuck with that put students, parents, and staff in harm's way every day that can be corrected, and is required to abate Kenton's notorious, deadly, obsolete railroad crossings that have already caused too many preventable tragedies. Railroad crossings are inherently dangerous environments. Forcing vehicles to stop on or very close to the tracks is against the law and increases the chance of the vehicle stalling or getting stuck, leaving drivers unable to move when the train approaches. It is a fact that people experience panic at railroad crossings, leading to risky behavior and tragic preventable accidents. Even though panic is an emotional response, the dangerous situations causing it are real. Due to the immense weight and momentum A collision with the train is almost always fatal for the occupants of the vehicle. The force of a train hitting a car is comparable to the car running over an aluminum can. For reasons yet to be publicly disclosed, all of our downtown railroad crossings are deliberately excluded from the Downtown Revitalization Plan, the 2023 Kenton Safety Study, and the US 68 SR 31 Roundabout Feasibility and Environmental Studies. The refusal of the previous City Council and ODOT to release any requested public records supporting their certification of no railroad involvement for the US 68 SR 31 Roundabout indicates that no railroad crossing engineering analysis of any kind was ever performed, contradicting numerous public statements made in support of the roundabout during public meetings. Question: why are citizens of Kenton forced to file a lawsuit to review any public record from our own City Council or ODOT? Expending millions of dollars altering downtown intersections and parking to generate revenue from accident response fees and inflate insurance premiums is just a normal part of modern, everyday Ohio politics now. Our previous City Council promised safety and beauty, but delivered the exact opposite. All of the broken promises of turn lanes and parallel parking on Main Street are still on your website. The truck detour disaster not only generated immense inconvenience, but also millions of dollars in preventable property damage, dozens of injuries, hundreds of crashes, thousands of traffic tickets, and unknown amounts of environmental harm, destroying the reputation of our hometown. The Ohio Department of Transportation will certainly do it to us again, only twice as bad later this year when construction commences on an uncontrolled single-lane roundabout, breaching the most basic, fundamental, and important state and federal traffic safety laws, procedures, policy, and guidelines to booby-trap our downtown railroad crossings next. Evidently, all competent oversight at ODOT prioritizing safety in Kenton has been ordered to stand down or no longer exist. Excuse me. This will be over in a second. As the facts were never allowed a fair public discourse by ODOT or the previous City Council, nor any evidence objectively argued in good faith, I hereby formally challenge the President of Kenton City Council, Joel Oldhauser, to a public debate. This debate should take place in council chambers and focus on the spurious certification of no railroad involvement regarding the Kenton roundabout, a certification I contend is deadly mistaken. Mr. President, I call upon your sense of honor and public duty to accept this challenge. Since life and death is of the utmost public interest, this debate could be moderated by our mutual friends Chad Spencer and Tim Thomas while broadcast live on WKTN for the sake of transparency and unbiased journalism. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. President. Be safe, and God bless Kenton.
Dad, if you, I was going to say, if you want to leave a copy of that, that way you can get one to Emma.
Thanks again.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments? All right, thank you everyone for their attention and for being here this evening.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody.
Comments from the news media? Okay, and thank you for being here tonight. I know we went pretty late, but appreciate it. So let's go on now to comments from administration and council members. Chief Musser, anything to add after Chief Donnelly? So I guess we start with Sue.
I'd like to welcome our new members of council.
Lydia, anything to add tonight?
It's just really interesting. Since it's my first meeting, I guess I I learned a lot, and I'm glad to learn more to help the city of Kenton.
Oh, I echo that. I learned a lot tonight, and I'll do the best job I can. That's all I can do.
No.
Just want to welcome all the new members also. Look
Thank you.
forward to working with you.
I too wish to welcome Lydia and Cliff, senior, or junior.
Junior.
Cliff, junior, yes.
Robin?
Thank you for stepping up and serving Kenton to the best of our ability. We all try to make the place the best we can make it, so thank you.
Welcome, that's all I have.
Welcome. We'll try to get you guys a organizational chart next meeting so you can see how we're laid out. So that might help you some too.
Lynn, anything?
Well done, first time around, and look forward to see you. The city, the doors are open, not to just you guys, but to everybody, so, you know, stop in at any time, hang out with us, whatever.
Couple quick questions. Do any of you have conflicts to where you, employment-wise, whatever, to where you could not ever attend a committee meeting during the day, weekday?
I do sometimes,
You do sometimes? Okay.
on Tuesdays and Wednesdays usually.
And then, because some of these do tend to meet during the day once in a while. Cindy, do you have things, I was thinking you have some things you'd like the utilities to meet this week.
Yes.
Would you? Okay, so with that in mind, on utilities, what I did have was to have Sue stay on that committee and to have Lydia and Cliff also on that committee. Now, on public utilities. And the reason I want to get that done is I knew that Cindy would like to meet if you can. If one of you cannot, we might see if Doris or somebody can fill in for you. Remember, any council member is welcome at any, or the public is welcome at any committee meeting at any time. We're going to try to have more of a schedule where we publish those a little bit ahead of time.
Would this be here?
It would be here
This Wednesday at 3:30.
Okay, Wednesday, yeah, I got that.
at 3:30.
Here,
Public
in this room?
utilities. Yes. And then we will make certain we get the other three finished up. I'll have those in the next few days. And that's finance, streets, alleys, sidewalks, legislation, codes, and regulations. Anything else for the good of the order? As has been said, Lydia, Cliff, thank you very much for running, for stepping up. We have 2 council members that were elected by write-in now, I believe. That is a first.
3.
3? That's true, 3 that were elected by write-in. So, again, thank you very much for doing that. Our next meeting then is on January 26th here in council chambers. As soon as I get word that the emails are finalized, we'll get emails out with all the committee appointments if I don't call you first. Unless there's objections, we are adjourned.